Welcome back, folks. So from the great fun of that martini segment, I must say I'm very envious that I didn't get to take part. And unfortunately, I have a clipboard in this hand, a microphone in this one, so I don't even get to taste any of them. Not that there was any left with some of the minesweepers that are around the studio just now. Next up, we have a little distillery news segment where we're going to have a little update from what's been going on at the distillery over the last year, as well as what's to come in the future. So I'm now going to hand you over to Jane.
Hello everyone. We're just going to do a whistle-stop tour because there's a lot of it. We've been doing a lot. We're going to talk about what we've been doing, how we've been doing it, why we've been doing it, and what's coming up next. So we're making whiskey. We're making whiskey right this minute in the still house, but there's a lot else going on as well. And you'll back me up, studio audience, live on an island where you're not working in a vacuum. Everything that you do overlaps on everyone else. So you can't act unilaterally. We're all very connected. So trying to grow our business on Islay, we're mindful that we want to bring benefit as we do that. I've got excellent people to tell us all about what's going on. Allan, who is our Production Operations Director, he sorts everything out on Islay, and Douglas, our CEO. So I mentioned our audience. Maybe we should say a little bit about the team effort that it is, what we do at Bruichladdich.
Yeah, and it is a team effort, isn't it? And I was reflecting earlier because Adam was talking in the masterclass about when he started in 2004. But if you go back to 2000, we only had 2 people that were working here. And in 2010, I think we were up to just over 40, something like that.
Yeah.
And now, 2022, 100, by the end of June, we'll be 110 people. So that's what it takes, not only to put on something like this today, but to run a business like Bruichladdich, 110 people, really, vertically integrated on the island, working with the farming community, distilling, warehousing, bottling. It's an incredible effort. So big sort of number of people here creating the heart of the business here on Islay.
Yeah, it's great that we've got some of our farming network in the audience today. Andrew and Sophie and James are here. Alan's been doing a lot of work trying to establish that whole supply chain. Yep. And that's not the only place that we're growing, Alan. We've got all the new warehousing, new operations director. Do you want to say a little about
So obviously,
like?
we grow about 50% of the barley that we distill on Islay. So we're working with local farmers like James and Andrew and some other farmers. We've got just over 20 farmers now growing barley here locally on Islay, which is established over the last 20 years. And we're also growing barley as far north as Orkney, and then we're working with different variants of barley, like it's grown organically, biodynamically across Scotland.
Great. We'll come back to the agriculture part a little later, but it's a big team. We're growing. So what? Yep. What are these people doing? We're keeping bright people on Islay. We're attracting bright people to Islay, and we're doing everything under one roof. Yep. So I was thinking if whiskey is like the honey that comes out of the hive. Yeah. We've got the bees, we've got the honeycomb, that's all our stock here, all under one roof. And we've got the honey jars at the end, that's our bottles that we're putting stuff in. It's all happening here. If you've not been to Bruichladdich, we've got stills on one side, warehouse at the other side of the courtyard, we've got the bottling there. Do you want to say a little bit about what's happening in packaging, Douglas?
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're probably exporting 90% of everything that we make here to countries all around the world, and there's a huge amount of pressure on businesses just now about carbon footprint, and effectively we're putting things in glass and shipping it around the world. So one of the things we've got to start thinking about is the impact of packaging, and when we're designing new bottles, can we make them lighter? Can we use more recycled glass in there as well? But also on packaging, one of the big things is about how necessary is secondary packaging in our industry. It's been something that's been in the industry for a long time, but we've worked out that each tin, and the tins are our sort of big element, one of the big marketing sides of the brand. You can really see them standing out, but each tin is 1.13 kilograms of CO2. So at some point we've got to make a decision to drop that, because it doesn't make sense to be shipping tin here and then shipping tin away when most of it probably gets binned and doesn't get recycled. So Port Charlotte's the first brand that's happening this summer. We're taking the tin away from Port Charlotte, and there's going to be some really exciting stuff happening on the Bruichladdich brand as well. So
Heard it here first.
New bottling and lightweight packs and things coming.
Fantastic. I mean, that's a relatively quick win. I guess we're just changing our supplier.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't just concentrate on focus on the whiskey. We've got to look at what's happening before the whiskey with the agriculture. We've got to look at what's happening after we've made the whiskey, what's happening with shipping and all that kind of stuff. So packaging is a relatively quick win, I think we'd agree. Agriculture, a slightly slower project. We've got a 5-year plan on the croft.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
So obviously the barley that we're growing for distilling, we're not just taking, it doesn't just start for us at barley, we're looking beyond that and looking at how we can improve our impact in terms of the barley we use. So we're looking if we can start to look at different cereals that could help the soil fertility, and then we're also looking at crop rotation. So we already started that work and looking at how we can invest in soil health, and Andrew has been helping us with the croft and starting to put in cover crops that will starting to improve the nitrogen and putting nitrogen back into the ground. With the plants that are growing, there's different wildflowers in there that are starting to put that back. It's also helping with the organic matter and the drainage of the soil as well. So there's a lot of the structure of the soil, so it's starting to really trying to invest in the soil, and we're starting to do that with the croft. And then of course when we start being able to grow cereals, we can start to look at more research and development of different ways of farming and actually how we can do that as sustainable as we can, and hopefully that will then benefit the rest of our growers that are growing as well. But they're also doing lots of great things on Islay. Like a lot of farmers are starting to explore different ways themselves and starting to explore what they can do that reduces their inputs and has a better impact on the environment.
Fantastic. I mean, it's a generational change as well, isn't it? I guess if you're looking at monocrops now, you look at it with different eyes than you did 20 years ago. And soil, looking at the soil and taking it seriously and investing in the soil. Yeah, the soil's an asset, and you've got to look after it. And if you just keep taking away, then obviously it's not sustainable. So you've got to start putting back into it. And I think with the cost of the inputs going up, then obviously it's natural to try and look at ways you can do that without it being so expensive that you don't make a margin from your crop. So it's certainly the way to go, and it's great to see that there's a lot of will from the farmers. They're starting to see that they're looking at different ways, and I think that it's really good, and it fits exactly what we want to do here as well. So fantastic. We're so lucky to have that connection with our growers. The last time I saw Andrew and Sophie, they were literally sowing that croft over there in the tractors. And then in other industries, you don't get that. You don't necessarily get that in rum, or even in other parts of the whiskey industry. Coffee, you don't get that. Chocolate, you don't get that.
No, that's true.
So we're doing really well. Like another big thing that we're trying to move forward with is energy. So Douglas, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what we're doing to try and change that up.
Try and clean up our footprint a little bit, because actually one of the biggest culprits for our CO2 footprint is the fuel that we burn. So we have to. We're not on the gas network, so we have to burn fossil fuel, and ideally we want to move away from that over time. And with Allan, we've studied probably 12 different types of renewable technologies that we could implement here. We've moved to some short-term solutions like biofuels, so we're reducing our CO2 footprint with biofuels. But we've got a much bigger ambition to unlock the potential of hydrogen, so electrolyzing water to create hydrogen and oxygen to burn in a hydrogen boiler, which would then create heat to create steam for distilling. But the more time we spend on this, the harder we realise it is. And actually, sometimes we think we'd be better just to stick to making whiskey and gin, but the reality is we think we've got an obligation here and we want to lead from the front. So we have a project called High Laddie, which is our
I always want
hydrogen...
to pronounce that in like an Icelandic accent.
High Laddie.
High Laddie?
So we have this High Laddie project, and the idea is that we will unlock the potential of hydrogen for the distillery. But beyond that, when offshore wind comes on 2030 and the tidal projects kick in, there's a chance that large-scale rollout of hydrogen as a fuel on the island could benefit not just the distillery and the distilling industry, but also schools or hospitals, the airlines. You could see it being used in ferries, you could see it being used in trucks and cars and things as well. So it could go beyond just the solution for the distillery.
I mean, you see how that becomes a whole island issue, if not a national infrastructure issue. That it's difficult to. There's a lot of energy required from our side to try and push that forward when there's so many other players.
And it's hard, right? It's hard to try and find the solution that sticks. So.
Yeah, but it's worth it. We think
It
it's
Yeah,
cool.
sure.
And there's lots of other cool stuff. Now, Douglas has got to go. He's running down the stairs to go and do a
We'll have to
charity
do the
auction.
auction to raise money for Ukraine. So
Yeah.
I'll leave you in the capable hands of
Good
Alan.
luck.
And I'll see you
Yep.
later.
Alan's going to tell us about
Thanks,
some other cool stuff. Thanks, Douglas. That we're looking at developing.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something about the maltings? We talked about it a little bit last year
Yeah.
in the Digital Festival.
Yeah, so we've always had this desire to do something to recreate the ability to malt the barley here at Islay, at the distillery, because it was something traditionally all the distilleries made their own malt, and this building actually where we actually are was part of the old maltings at Bruichladdich up until I think the early 60s. So it's always been something that we've wanted to do. We, as you said earlier, you know, the process for us is every part of the process is done here on Islay. Like we do all the distilling, all the maturing, all the bottling. But the one part that we don't do is the malting. And it seems a missing link for us because we buy the barley locally, but we don't malt it here. So we've always had this ambition to do that, and we started the design of that. And in the near future, we're going to build a malting plant on the site here, so that all the local barley that we grow and some other barley that we buy from the Scottish mainland will be malted here. And that just opens up the opportunity for us to complete the circle. You know, we'll be self-sufficient. We can do the whole process here. And it also means we can be more creative. You know, we can actually start to push the boundaries in the way we're exploring flavour, either using local peats or using different factors, different peating levels and different things. So it's quite exciting for us, but it also helps, it's more responsible because we're not then transporting barley off the island to get it malted to bring it back. So really looking at the responsibility side of it as well, which is
Fantastic. We'll just finish with a little bit about the journey that we're on with that, with trying to take responsibility, which we're doing through a B Corp system. We became B Corp certified in 2020, and that means we have to recertify as a B Corp next year.
Next year.
So the B Corp system, there's maybe 300 or 400 checkpoints that you need to go through, and it just makes you question all of these things across your whole supply chain, across your workers, across your community, that you have to sort of measure against. And B Corp is, it's not like a niche thing, although there's a small amount of businesses that have become B Corp certified. It's for kind of big business as well, isn't it? They're not trying to be too homespun. They want like actual systemic change. So they, you have to qualify with a certain number of points, but then you're on the path to just get better and better.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's where we are. Did you want to say anything about B Corp particularly?
Yeah, no, just what you're saying. Like we've obviously been assessed, and then we've actually created an improvement plan, and we're working on a way to. Our first target is to get over 100 points, and then if we can go beyond that, and it starts to really make you think. And it's not just about all the commercial decisions you make. It's about the environment and also the social impact in terms of whether it's the community or different factors. So it really starts to have a more holistic view, but it really does question you, and I think that's what's helping us make the right decisions and be more responsible.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alan. You can sit and have your festival dram now. We're going to have a tune from Robert Robertson again. Thank you, Robert. Just one thing was, if you're interested in the sustainability programme at Bruichladdich, you can check our website in the philosophy section there. There's a lot of good stuff, Douglas's vision for the place and lots of other bits of detail. So take it away, Robert. Thank you.
An island in the sunlight, laughter in the rain, a whiskey in the darkness, it all feels just the same. Watch the sunset over Heinisch, see the twilight merge to dawn, hear the waves caress the shoreline as the island carries on. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. There's two lovers on the Macher, and they walk down to the sand. Their silhouettes are on the water as they paddle hand in hand. And it's a game of sweet surrender when there's nothing left to say, and there are moments to remember once these days are long away. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. So you look out on the ocean, see the headlands and the strands, and you wonder what horizons will shape tomorrow's plans. Through the turning of the seasons and the cycle of the days, well, every drink's another reason to let tomorrow sail away. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, but with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. The surging of the ocean, the breakers on the shore, the echoes of our bodies to the lover's dream we soar. I've been walking these shores all my days, with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. I've been walking these shores all my days, with you by my side, I am walking on the waves. Thank you. Cheers.